Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday night, December the 16th. It's lovely to have you guys in for another episode of the Prime Time program. Headline, of course, coming out of last week's, or I guess yesterday's Titans game. It feels like so many weeks ago, and it was just a little more than 24 hours ago. The Titans 37-27 lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's unfortunate that that we're this far along in the season and the football doesn't matter, because the football is honestly not the most important thing to come out of yesterday's game. It is the quarterback. I suppose the football is a part of the conversation because his poor performance, his being Will Levis's, is the main talking point. The biggest reason why they lost that football game, but it's almost so much more headline grabbing, the Will Levis situation, that it allows you, or it at least provides you the opportunity to ignore something like the Titans defense, allowing Joe Burrow to start 7 of 7 on third down conversions and end up converting about 77% of his third downs yesterday, en route to giving up 37 points as one of the league's worst scoring defenses. But that's neither here nor there, because the quarterback is the thing that we got to focus on tonight, because that was certainly the main theme of Brian Callahan's recap press conference earlier this morning. So we'll go through what Brian Callahan had to say, noncommittal, on Will Levis's future, the first time that we've heard such things. We will also talk about how many more games we think he's going to start, because I think that number is lower than some of you might have initially expected. We'll see if Bert is alive and well, for in case you missed it at the end of the show, and we'll have a great time talking about all these things. Because if you can't have fun watching your football team, at least you can have fun talking about your football team, or at least that is the goal that we will set out to accomplish with you here tonight. Before we get started, need you guys to share this broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You know the vibes. Retweet the show if you're on Twitter. If you're on Facebook Live, you can share now to public. If you're on YouTube or Twitch, like the video, text the link to a friend, share the show around wherever you're hanging out with us, and we would be grateful for you that way. Curtis says, we have a quarterback, ? Yeah, you have two of them. It's just a matter of which one you're going to toss out there to the Wolves against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. Bork says, Buck, the team might suck. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really, really, it's really, really bad. I don't know how many more times I can say it. I think that there is a situation for the Titans that we're going to have to talk about. I haven't made up my mind on what I want to say at the end of the season, and I have 3 more weeks to kind of stew on it a little longer as to how I think I'm going to summarize this Titans season. But I'm leaning towards stronger measures than I honest to God ever thought that I would lean towards, and that is something that we will have to wait until the end of the season to talk about. But in the meantime, we can talk about one of the most pivotal developments of this season, which is Will Levis getting benched and it not looking very clear as to what his future will be here or elsewhere in the meantime. So we'll work our way through these things together. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studio. I'm your host, Buck Rising. I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. By Zen Sports, where betting just gets better. All your favorite major sports using that promo code ATOZTN. And TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch, where your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. TrueMapFitness.com. There is a lot here that we have to digest about the Tennessee Titans, and a lot here that we have to talk about as we move forward through the next couple of weeks into the end of the season, which cannot get here soon enough. But in the meantime, the matter of discussion is the quarterback. The quarterback situation has been dire, right? Yesterday's game was lost, not exclusively, but primarily because the quarterback play was so poor. And I consider Will Levis to, of course, be the primary factor in that equation. I did not think Mason Rudolph was overwhelmingly excellent in filling in for Will Levis after Will Levis was benched, but I do think that I trust Mason Rudolph more at this point, and it will be curious to see what decision this coaching staff ultimately makes, and this organization as an extension of this coaching staff, or the coaching staff as an extension of this organization ultimately makes about the quarterback that they very, very much backed from ownership to front office to coaching staff on down, and have subsequently failed spectacularly with. Now, again, I think it's all bad, and I think everybody shares, as we talked about last night, equal portions of the blame for just how badly this thing has gone, just how rotten this thing has become. But the place that is going to be most discussed here in the next couple of weeks, because it's the most interesting thing until such time as they decide to fire somebody, and whether or not they decide to fire somebody, because if they don't decide to fire somebody, it's also a story there too. The most interesting thing in the immediate is Will Levis. We know the situation. He was terrible against the Bengals. It was his worst performance of the year. He finished 8 of 12 for 89 yards, 3 interceptions, a pick six included in that, and a fumble loss. Tony Pollard also had a fumble. Mason Rudolph also had an interception in that game. And in particular, how the Titans went about the process of this in benching Will Levis says a lot about where they are and just how much up to here they've had it with his inability to execute what they're asking him to execute. So Brian Callahan was asked about Will Levis at his press conference today, and it's the first time that he sounded non-committal. The question that I'll ask you is this: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch, in the comment section, let me know how you felt. What was your reaction to Brian Callahan's Monday press conference today? If you didn't see it, we'll play some clips for you right after I remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take, which this is made possible by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. They are there to help you succeed. They are there to put you in position to enjoy the car buying process, to make it faster, easier, and more fun. Two Rivers Ford always has the best prices and the best financing. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more information. So with everything that's going on right now, what was your reaction to Will Levis? Well, let's first hear from Will Levis, and then we'll hear from Brian Callahan, who spoke earlier today. This, of course, was Will Levis. Actually, no, I changed my mind. We'll hear from Will Levis in the second segment. Let's hear from Brian Callahan first.
I think the easiest way to say it is that there's a standard of play, and there's been multiple guys on our team that we've sat down for performance. Guys that we went through the right tackle position all over the place. We've made changes at linebacker, we made changes at safety, we made changes at returner, and so those are all things that are just a part of NFL life and a part of performance and trying to win football games. And you just have to make sure that when you're making decisions and you're coaching, that that's the same across the board for all positions, and the quarterback position is a part of that as well.
So, talking about punitive measures, talking about benching guys for performance-based situations, and they have multiple examples of that. That's Brian Callahan at the podium earlier today. They benched Nicholas Petit-Frere for performance-related issues. They benched Leroy Watson after benching Nicholas Petit-Frere for performance issues. They benched Jaquan Jackson for performance issues. They have done this several times throughout the course of the season. They have done it in game. They have tried silly gimmicky things like rotating tackles. They have been non-committal at positions as they try to figure things out. And they have had no answers en route to a 3-win season, and made more difficult by the fact that the quarterback, you just haven't been able to trust him. When you start to give him a little bit more of your trust, he either has a performance like he did last Sunday, 2 Sundays ago against the Jags, or yesterday like he did against the Bengals, where it is just a lack of execution in the one and a complete and total meltdown in the other. Now, to his credit, it's been a while since he's had a meltdown, but the fact that we're still talking about Will Levis's meltdowns is a notable piece of the equation here, and that Brian Callahan, it's the first time that he has said publicly something other than, well, no, Will is our starter as long as he's healthy, which makes me think that they are getting ready to bench Will Levis, which is absolutely, from my perspective, the best possible decision for both sides. He is not getting better, not consequentially getting better. Maybe the 3 games would make a difference for him. Maybe they wouldn't. I'm not interested in finding out, because to me, from my perspective, and I'm sure I'm not the only one I'm on the outside looking at this. I'm sure there are plenty of people inside that are thinking the same thing that I am, which is he doesn't give this team the best chance to win. And if you put him out there, then you are actively depriving your team of every possible opportunity, every possible chance to win games. Mason Rudolph is the more trustworthy quarterback. And I understand why they had to take as much time to figure out whether they could trust Will Levis or not. I understand that that was one of the primary things that was set out to be accomplished this season. We talked about it yesterday. They accomplished it. They know what Will Levis is, or at least they know what Will Levis is at this stage of his career, which right now he's not healthy, he's unreliable, and he makes bad decisions. He's under contract for 2 more seasons. Will Levis doesn't have to be done with the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans don't have to be done with Will Levis if they think that there is something still viable there, but there's not in 2024. You gain nothing. Just as you gain nothing from starting Mason Rudolph, and many people who would say, oh, well, why do you want to start Mason Rudolph? You get nothing out of that. What on earth, if you are somebody who's going to make that argument to me, and I invite you to do so, even if I think it's a dumb one, all right, if you think that nothing is accomplished by starting Mason Rudolph, then what on earth do you think gets accomplished by starting Will Levis after you've seen 20 games of this player in the NFL, and he continues to show you that he is untrustworthy as far as his professional output goes. He's a fine human being. I'm sure an upstanding citizen. I haven't gotten to know him on a personal level very, very well because he's only been here for such a short time. But as a football player, you don't trust him. I don't trust him. And his coaching staff clearly doesn't trust him. So with everything that's going on at this point in time, I think that it is notable that Brian Callahan was non-committal today, which makes me think on Wednesday when he gets to the podium, we're going to be talking about a different starting quarterback, and should be. I think it's beneficial for Will Levis too. The health thing, let's not give it an excuse. Let him get completely right. Let him get completely healthy, and then bring him back for voluntary work and let him compete. Sign a veteran quarterback to come in and compete with him. Which one of them ends up being the starter, depending on how much money you pay that bridge veteran quarterback, remains to be seen, because Mason Rudolph is making more money than any other quarterback on the roster, and was, when he was brought in this offseason, more than Malik Willis and more than Will Levis, because he's a veteran player, and both of those players were on rookie deals. Trevor Siemian is also available to this team at this time. I do not think that they would outright make Will Levis inactive, but I don't know. They did it to Jaquan. Quarterback's a little bit of a different discussion. Hill says Callahan is not ready. I was irate. His decision process is mind-boggling. Well, he thinks that he's justified in the process, and that is something that we'll do a later show on, because tonight is about Will. Everything though that has gone down for this team, one of the biggest issues, it's not the only issue, and they have, honestly, I think, bigger issues than even the quarterback, because I don't think anything about this organization is trustworthy at this point in time, including the people that are making the decisions at the top and then putting other people in position to make decisions. I just think I'm of the position that this organization is just flatly dysfunctional. I just don't think that they are running a well-oiled machine, and it's not just because the product looks the way that it does. It's because all the different things, all the different red flags that we, recognized in real time, but were, I think, collectively, including myself, content to ignore, because the plan that they laid out made sense at the time. Now, all of this stuff is starting to bubble to the surface in ways that we should not, and certainly me, should not have ignored. And I just think from top to bottom, this thing is rotten. But Will Levis is going to be the fall guy, so let's focus in on him for the time being. So for Will, what was your reaction to Brian Callahan's press conference today when you heard an answer like that, and several more to the effect of why they might consider making a decision with Will Levis and the Titans starting quarterback situation at this time? I'll tell you how I feel about it, or what my reaction was, here in just a second, right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. That's Gary Ashton. Don't sell without the intel edge you need to succeed. Go to GaryAshton.com for more details. Everything going on right now with the Titans, Will Levis is, of course, the thing that was talked about the most today. And what was my reaction to Brian Callahan's press conference? It's the beginning of the end. If the end is not already upon us, as far as the Will Levis 2024 experiment goes, because again, I remind you, unless they trade him, he's under contract for 2 more years, and it is nonsensical to just outright release a former second-round pick when there's reason to believe that he can still bring some level of value to your football team, even if he is not the starter. Will Levis has been a part of the problem, and for Brian Callahan to get up there the way that he did makes me think that Will Levis, the end is probably upon us. Now, is it a substantially better football team without Will Levis in the lineup? No, they still have a defense that's suspect. They still have skill players. The most reliable of them is Nick Westbrook-Akina. Chig had a pretty nice game, honestly. Caught up in everything that happened yesterday. Chigakonko was one of the brighter spots of that performance beyond Tavondre Sweat. They have a left tackle in J.C. Latham who, has had ups and downs as rookies should be expected to. We'll see how that plays itself out. We'll see how they ultimately address the other side of it, because they could find a left tackle solution and feel it necessary to bump JC to the right side. They could let JC play it out on the right side and go out and pay a right tackle. They could draft a right tackle. Either way, they need an entirely new right side, and I'm not certain they don't need a new center, because Lloyd Cushenberry is going to be coming off an Achilles injury, and it sucks because you dumped that much guaranteed money into it. And it sucks for Lloyd because obviously it's not his fault that his Achilles popped. But that's a much different injury to come back from than, say, an ACL or a hamstring or a meniscus sprain or anything else that we might be talking about. An Achilles can legitimately can ruin professional athletes' careers, as we've seen it do time and time again. It is something to monitor about that position, because they did invest and they had to invest in the center. They gave him the most guaranteed money a center's ever gotten, and then halfway through the season, of course, he pops it, which means he wouldn't even be available theoretically until halfway through 2025 at this point. And what I know about Daniel Brunskill's situation is that he didn't want to be here in the first place. I think this year, I think they were hoping he would, or I think his camp was hoping that he would be released so he could go play for a better football team. But now he's stuck here being the backup center for a 3-win football team and not doing a bad job of it. But if I was Daniel Brunskill, I'd want the hell out of here after how the last two years have gone. Hill says Snead quit on us. I mean, they put him on injured reserve. I don't know, quit on you. I don't know. I know that that he got hurt, that they that they didn't think it was going to be as long-term as it ended up being, and that they shut him down. Whether that was a collaborative effort between Snead and the coaching staff and the front office to say, yeah, maybe it's not worth bringing you back this year. Somebody made a decision to shut him down. Maybe he could have been available towards the end of the year. I fully expect to not see him in these last 3 games. Tig says, yet another offseason we have to focus on O-line. It's getting redundant. No, it's not. Well, here's the good news, I guess. You don't just have to focus on O-line. Yes, you do have to focus on the offensive line, but your receiver core is still bad. Your pass rush is still bad. Your linebackers are suspect. There are a bunch of different things here that need fixing, so congratulations to you. It's not just the offensive line that you have to focus on, though that is also a part of the long, long laundry list of just how crappy things have been. And by the way, we're now 2 drafts into Rand Carthon's tenure. So while they are still suffering a great deal for John Robinson's, the only way that I can call it is malpractice for the last 3 years that John was here running the ship. Rand is now also a part of the discussion with the Kenneth Murray deal and Peter Skoronski with the 11th pick and Will trading up for Will Levis and all these different things, because I'm certain that the person that convinced Amy Adams Strunk to include Will Levis as the promising young quarterback that they plan to build their future around in her statement when she fired Mike Vrabel, I'm pretty sure that Mike Vrabel wasn't the one that convinced her that Will Levis was the person to be around. And many people, it seems, based on how I've seen reactions in the chat or on social media, have been desperately trying to pin Will Levis on Vrabel, even though 2 people who were in that draft room, including, 3 people, Mike Vrabel, Rand Carthon, Amy Adams Strunk, among several other people who were in that draft room. One is gone, and the other 2 are still here, and the other 2 spent $250 million building around the quarterback that the head coach that they hired that was very excited to work with Will Levis, who couldn't figure out how to use Will Levis properly and couldn't get him to a place where they said that he would get. they've built around him, and I'm pretty sure the guy that got shit canned wasn't the one that talked Amy Adams Strunk into putting that into her statement. So everybody is on notice, except for the owner, because you can't fire her. Everybody is on notice for how shitty this thing is across the board. And I think that when you look, Jack says, Buck was also sure that Vrabel was safe after last season. No, not after last season. I wasn't, because he got fired at the end of the season. When I realized that they were going to fire Mike Vrabel the Sunday of week 18 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm pretty sure that was a day or 2 days after they made their decision. They put Mike Vrabel on a Christmas card. They gave an interview to Diana Rossini in The Athletic where they were quoted as saying, "Ready, steady, Vrabel." This is why I don't think this organization has any idea what they're doing. Nor do I trust them to make, even if they clean house, I don't trust them to make good decisions in the future. Again, you can make John Robinson and Mike Vrabel the boogeyman as long as you want to, but at the end of the day, the ultimate responsibility is on the people making the decisions at the top. And I know damn sure that they didn't have Mike Vrabel's firing in mind when they allowed a company Christmas card to go out to season ticket holders with a cartoonized Vrabel on the cover. And that was, again, this time last year that they hadn't decided to fire Mike Vrabel. So if you want to give the Titans a pass on how poorly managed they have, or how poorly they have managed this situation, you are entirely entitled to do so. And again, I would say to you the same thing that I've said to people who are acting like the Titans or Titans fans owe Rand Carthon or Brian Callahan or all these other people, that you owe them something or whatever, that you owe them more opportunities. The hell you do. The hell you do. Just as you don't owe Amy Adams Strunk more opportunities to take a crack at this thing, but she's going to get them because it's her toy. She gets to do what she wants with this thing. But that doesn't mean you got to trust her to do it correctly. And that's entirely possible that they get it wrong again. And honestly, I don't even think it's Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan's fault. I think the fault is at the top. And I'd probably still feel that way if they both got fired. And if somebody gets fired, everybody needs to go. Don't just half-ass this thing the way you half-assed the trade deadline last year because you got emotional about the Derrick Henry situation because you wanted to give fans a reason to still show up, even though it benefited you none. But besides a little feel-good and a Derrick Henry going-away press conference, to not trade that guy at the trade deadline, this has been mismanagement from top to bottom across the board, and it's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. So if you want to make excuses for them, that's on you. But don't sit there and cry about it after the fact or bitch and moan about it after the fact when any number of people will point out to you how dysfunctional all this shit has been. It's a little hotter than I expected to get tonight. The point being is that with the quarterback situation, I was glad to hear that at least it's on the table to sit him down because I think it's best for both sides. How many more games he ends up starting is the question that we're going to talk about coming up next, and that's the question that I would pose to you guys, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch in the comment section. And Borg says, tell us how you really feel, Buck. I mean, I guess I'm going to have to. And, you know, this is genuinely how I feel. And this is, I've been thinking about this shit for a while because, like, if I'm going to talk about firing people at the end of the year, then I damn sure I want to really, you know, I want to give you guys my honest assessment of what I'm watching here and how I think it's going down, and with as much information as I can be armed with humanly possible. And all of us, Tehran, PK, Sus, me, all of us that cover this team on a daily basis and have done so for an extended period of time and have seen a bunch of bullshit and have seen other ways that NFL organizations, dysfunctional NFL organizations, get their shit covered up by better coaches and better players than they probably have any business having, just the way that this one did a couple of years ago where Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry are covering up for a lot of shit. I think so little of them right now. It's as low an opinion as I've had of this organization in 8 years that I've been here, or 8 years that I've had covering them, and 10 years living in Nashville. Truly. B Friend says, come on, Buck, it's a podcast. Nobody listens in the Titans organization. Yeah, tell that to my message inbox every time I go on a rant on the radio show or Anytime something from primetime gets clipped and cut off and posted on social media, it would probably not make you feel much better to see how many people in my phone on a regular basis from your organization are texting me about the shit I'm saying in these broadcast spaces. Don't worry. They hear it plenty. And they hear you guys when you call in. They see your commentary. They see your messages on social media. And I know for a fact that Amy Adams Strunk takes a tour down Twitter lane from time to time. So there's no escaping the level of criticism that they have brought forth. And I again, like I said last night, the worst thing about it is I don't trust them to get it right, even if they get another opportunity to do so. And I don't know that they're even going to give themselves another opportunity to do so, because that would be ownership admitting that they got it wrong. So with everything that's going on at this point in time, how many more games do you think Will Levis ends up starting for this team in the final 3 games? 3 more opportunities. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know that he's officially been benched yet. We just know that they were non-committal. How many more games do you think Will Levis starts for Tennessee this season? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. In the comment section is how you get involved. Let me know, and I will let you know how many more I think here in just a second. You'll also hear from Will Levis right after I remind you that the Primetime program is made possible by Zen Sports, and Zen Sports has all manner of great offers, but they have a particularly great offer for you in the final weeks of the month of December, because we know that the college football bracket is getting ready to get underway, and we know that that is going to be very exciting, and we know that Zen Sports is giving you the opportunity to win 2 tickets and $10,000 cash to attend the biggest college football game of 2025, and the ability to earn entries on every bet you place in December. If you don't win the grand prize, you'll also have a shot to win one of 10 smaller prizes, which grants you $1,000 towards any college football playoff game in 2025. So what are you waiting for? Head to zensports.com/sweepstakes for a full list of rules and earn a $100 no danger wager on your first bet. Zen Sports, where betting just got better. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. No danger first wager limited to plus 500 odds to qualify. Terms and conditions do apply. A qualifying wager for a wager entry must have minimum odds of any leg in that entry of at least minus 250 or worse. American odds must be 21 plus and in Tennessee to bet at Zen Sports. Great offer there by Zen Sports. Ali Sorrell, Ali or Ali, either way, says, I don't know if he ever starts for the Titans again, bro. Well, that's the thing. It's like NPF, right? NPF, when he got benched, you guys never wanted to see him again. And what's he been for the last couple of weeks? He's been your starting right tackle. So it's entirely possible that they need to go back to Will Levis, but I don't know what the situation would look like for them to need to go back for Will Levis, because Mason Rudolph could implode. He could, God forbid, get hurt. They do have Trevor Siemian as well, but I don't think that they'd go to start Trevor Siemian instead of Will Levis. So they could go back to Will Levis. I think it is more likely than not that he starts at least one more game out of these 3 games that we have remaining, whether it's next week, 2 weeks from now, or at the end of the year, remains to be seen. But I bet we see Will Levis again if they do, in fact, bench him this week.
Unfortunate events, there's 4 out of those last 5 possessions, like the turnovers, you're never not gonna, or rarely ever not gonna get pulled when you turn the ball 4 times. So I mean, I understand that, and I got to watch the tape and see how it all went down. I kind of already know how a couple of them happened, and the last one was definitely the most disappointing, just because it's a look that I was ready for and that I was ready to launch, and guy made a good play, and yeah, no, it sucks. It wasn't my day. And
do you think you undo some of the goodwill or good impression you're making with coaches when you hit maybe a downturn with a decision or 2 last week and with a game like this?
I mean, I'm just going to try to do my best to play the position the best that I can.
What did Brian say to you when he pulled you?
It was Bo. I didn't get to talk to Brian. He just told me, turn the ball over 4 times, man. Like, that's what happens. And there was no fight. I just understood it. It sucked. I was there for Mason and the guys, and just tried to be the best teammate I could for the rest of the game.
Will Levis speaking yesterday at his post-game press conference. I think we see him at least one more start. If, again, I don't know for sure if they're going to bench him. Doesn't sound like they've made that official determination, though I imagine by Wednesday they will have made that determination, because if it's going to be Mason, they want to give him as many opportunities to take reps with the ones as possible. And there's no sense in, tiptoeing around the idea since you've already sat him down. My position on Will is if you bench him and it's not for injury, then he needs to stay benched for the rest of the season. That you bring him back for voluntary work and training camp and all this other stuff. You let him compete for the job with a guy that's brought in to compete with him, if not beat him outright. You make him earn it, though, because he didn't have to this year, and that ended up being one of the mistakes and a long line of mistakes made this season. And I know listen, I'm really aware of how easy it is for me to sit back, look at the results, and shit on him. I get that. I get that's criticism that I get from the organization all the time. When people reach out to me about the things that I say, I really do acknowledge how easy it is for me to not have the responsibility of making the decisions, but to sit back here and pick at them every time they make one. But I don't have to be, I don't have to have the results in hand, and I don't have to be terribly nuanced when your product is 3-11 and getting worse. And I know that's, that's kind of I know that maybe not the best argument or the best defense in the way that I talk about them, but they don't deserve any benefit of the doubt at all. And I know that it's a lot of your guys' favorite team or one of your favorite teams, and you grew up watching them, and you want to believe in them, and you want to see them get it right. All these different things. I also would like to see them get it right because I'm tired of covering shitty football. But there's so many examples, time after time after time, where they continue to show you that they can't be trusted, which is why I don't particularly trust them to handle this situation in real time. Anyway. So one more game, I think, for Will Levis. We'll see if they end up sitting him down or not. My educated guess on this would be that he ends up not being the starter for the Colts game, but we'll see. All right, Bert, in case you missed it, we'll bring the red flash in the flesh, literally the flesh, right after I remind you that the primetime program made possible by TrueMav Fitness. If you're feeling a little extra fleshy, TrueMav Fitness around the holidays is there to help you. Your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled. No workout ever repeated. Go to TrueMavFitness.com for more information. Your first workout, like I said, is free, courtesy of TrueMav.
And boy, am I feeling extra fleshy today, Buck.
Are you?
Yeah, can't you tell? Just super. Oh, yeah. Unfortunate for you guys, get a cutoff box. You can't see the full aura of my masculinity, the true build of a man,
No, but I think the aura that you're describing is more of a scent, and I think that visibly, I can't smell you, but I feel like I can.
Yeah, it's gas. The aura is gas. I'm a very gassy person. I got
one of those fart cams that you see people just passing gas in public, not at airports or something like that. You just see a little burst of air or something like that. That's the aura that surrounds Bert.
Right. It's from damn it, what are those kids called? From the Peanuts. It's Pigpen. Everywhere he goes, that dust follows him around, and Lucy can't get enough of it. Anyway, from this weekend, what's the best thing we saw on the internet? There were two things I've got for you today. One, the first thing is a man that is fatter while also being faster than me.
Second goal from the 9. Burrow under pressure again. This time in or down. Oh, really? The ball pops out, and it's recovered by the Titans. T'Vondre Sweat rumbling up the sideline. The big man still on the run.
God, that's so freaking cool. That would have been my one F-bomb of the year. I would have no problem using it on that, because I truly believe, with all this talk about fluidity and gender in sports and everyone, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, I think there should be a fat person only league for every sport. I want heavyweight golfers. I want a 300+ pound basketball league. I want everybody. Who's that fat ass dude that played for the Mets? Bartolo Colon.
Bartolo Colon, who had a second family, which was one of the more undercovered stories in all of sports.
Good for him. Good for him. You know why? Because that boy got a smooth belly to put on some lady's back. That's why he got a second family. Because big boys get it done. I need a sports league for every sport with a bunch of fat ass dude that look just like me. Whether it's darts, bowling, golf, croquet, it don't matter to me.
I could not be. It's rare that I agree with you so wholeheartedly. But yes, bring back Jared Lorenzen. We We need more hefty lefties in our life. We just need we have plenty of heftiness in this country, but we just need it on an athletic field of play. Not many people that size. I don't know many. And he's listed at 366. I doubt that he is actually 366. I'd imagine Tavondre's a tad heavier, whatever you consider to be a tad. But that man moving that way is not the norm. It would look far less athletic. And if you tried to stiff arm whichever offensive lineman for the Cincinnati Bengals that was, I don't think it would go as well for you.
Yeah, we out with the Livy Duns, bring in the Livy weigh a ton. Give me all of them in here. We need a special league just for them. My second piece of information for you, my favorite. Two? Yeah, well, you get a variety show today. Oh. My second favorite is Brooke Barnheiser, Northwestern basketball player. So last week in a game, he broke his front teeth out. Disgusting looking picture. Finished the game. That's him there in the middle. Two front teeth were knocked out at practice earlier in the week. He got a bone graft on Tuesday, was cleared to go play. He gave a post-game interview talking about he just wanted to be there with his guys. He just wanted to be out there with his buddies against Georgia Tech, and he was out there. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 3 steals. And who said you need teeth? Who said you need good-looking chompers? In the age of people getting veneers, people getting, George Washington's teeth was made out of wood, and he got it done. So this dude, George Washington, had the wood teeth. That's problematic. Don't tell the truth behind that story. And this guy got it done on the hardwood.
That's true. You don't need teeth to be functional. Kirby is one of the most functional people I know.
Shut up. Why would you say that? What?
I made a crack about Kirby having wooden teeth on the pregame show yesterday because we were so bored talking about the Titans and the Bengals. Blaine looked at me at one point and said, "I don't know how you're taking this so seriously." I said, "I'm just trying to get through it, man. 2 hours of pregame for a three-win football team. We're just all there. Everybody is lucky that we showed up. Today. Kirby always shows up. Or showed up yesterday. Unbelievable.
Kirby's the man. I'll end with that. Kirby's the man.
I really do. All right. That's Bert. That's in case you missed it. That's going to do it for us tonight. We appreciate your participation as always. Radio show tomorrow. Adam Sparks will be on the show. We will talk about happier things because it is college football playoff week, and there is a team from the state of Tennessee competing in the college football playoff. We will also talk about college basketball because that is also good in the state of Tennessee. I hope to go the entire show without talking about the Titans tomorrow, but I'm sure they'll do some shit that makes me talk about them anyway because that's just the way that this season has gone. Have a great rest of your evening. We appreciate your participation as always. Like the video on the way out the door, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville! Go home!